Today I wanted to talk about a key element of storytelling. It's the connection between character arcs and plot structure. It breaks it down, I hope, in a way that clarifies it for anyone who's confused about plotting a novel, about showing a character change over the course of a novel, how all of that works. I think that there's this misconception generally that there's this formula that's for stories and that it doesn't really have anything to do with real life. And I think that that is a major misstep if you want to tell a compelling story. So let's get into it. If you've looked into plot structure at all, you've probably heard of the hero's journey. To break that down quickly, there's a hero who lives in a village and it's threatened by a dragon. The hero goes out to slay the dragon. He needs a sword. He has adventures and finally enters into a cave. In the depths of the cave, he finds the sword, comes out of the cave, is able to slay the dragon, and then he gets to go back to his village, which is now safe from the dragon. That is sort of the classic plot structure of the hero's journey, and it's not very helpful because what is the dragon? What is the sword? What is the cave? All of these are like metaphorical elements for storytelling, but that doesn't really clarify how to do a plot. So what I wanted to stress in this video is that we're not trying to follow a formula. We're trying to show and illustrate how people in real life change. A lot of people clarify how plot structure works by giving examples from movies or other stories, and I think that that in part is a mistake. Mainly because the hero's journey isn't just about stories. What it's really about is the human experience. You're not trying to mimic how somebody changed in Star Wars or Harry Potter. You're trying to reflect how people change in real life. So the question is, how do people actually change? A prime example or an obvious example is when people go through near-death experiences, and after that they're inspired to change their whole lives and become different people. One example is like a heart attack. So if a heart attack actually changes people's behavior, how does that work? How do you show that in a story? So let's look at that. Let's say that you know that the heart attack changes the person. So the start of the story is that you have a main character who, it's the holidays, they eat lots of bad stuff, they don't get any exercise, but it's a way that they connect with their family, and it's a tradition that they always have. They know it's a problem, everyone knows it's a problem, but there's no real reason to change if they enjoy that. After the holidays, they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, if you do not change your behavior, you are going to die from a heart attack. This would be like the inciting incident, the Act 1 break, the sort of call to adventure. So it's the dragon that arrives in the hero's journey story. After the guy comes back from his doctor's appointment, he does everything in his power to change his behavior, eat better, exercise. But if you have ever tried to do any of these things, you know that it's not as simple as it sounds. That you can know that you want to change, but change is not easy. So he changes his eating patterns for a week, but sort of slides back into his normal behavior. He exercises for a while, but it becomes more and more spotty. So he's putting in the effort to change, but all of those efforts sort of fail. And then, like, the holidays are coming around again, and he's proud of, like, having tried all this time and having some success. And so he decides, I'm going to take the 2 months off around the holidays and not exercise and not worry about what I eat so that I can like connect with my family and have my traditions that mean a lot to me. And right before the holidays come around, he has a heart attack. And he realizes that if he's going to have those holidays in the future with his family that mean so much to him, that he's going to have to change for real. And so, this sort of dark night of the soul, this low point, is the cave. And that gives him the sword. It gives him the ability to fight the dragon. And so, once he emerges from the cave, once he's recovered from his heart attack, he realizes that he's been trying to do all of these changes to his lifestyle by himself, and that if his life is really going to change, he's going to need the help of his family. He changes his lifestyle, changes the traditions of his holidays so that he goes out and exercises with the family, goes on long walks, or prepares healthy things together, and that's how he spends his holidays. You start off showing who the person is. There's the inciting incident. There's the person who's trying to solve their problems without the interchange that they need to solve the problem. There's Dark Night of the Soul, where they realize that they have to change. They actually change, and then the third act is where the writer proves to the reader that the character has actually changed. This same sort of structure works for almost every story because every story at least has an element of characters changing. And the only way for them to change is for you to show their resistance to change and then them overcoming that resistance because of like a low point. A quick example of a romance plot is that the main characters have flaws that they try to ignore, that keeps them from being together fully. At the like third act break, they break up. There's the Dark Night of the Soul where they realize what they could lose if they don't change. And then the last act, they prove that they've changed and they can live happily ever after. And another example in real life is like you're working at a job that doesn't appreciate you and you don't value yourself enough to quit until the job gets so bad that you reach a breaking point and quit the job and value yourself and move on with your life. Without like that breaking point, the person would have never changed. But you have to show before they reach the breaking point them trying other solutions to the problem and finding out that those don't work, and that like something more drastic has to be done to solve their problems. I hope this clears up plot structure and character arcs and how they're connected and how it's necessary to use these elements to create your story because there's really no other way to illustrate real change because that's what it takes for people in real life to change. Obviously, people can change incrementally over long periods of time, and that can be illustrated in a story. But part of a story is creating that dramatic climax. Otherwise, the form of the story doesn't work as well. I hope that makes sense. Thanks for watching.